phone my special guest tonight. Here we go. And she's standing by, I know. Well, I hope she is. I hope she's not having a barbecue or something. She takes ages to answer the phone, doesn't she? You take ages to answer the phone, Lisa Ashton.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Jonathan Veira.
And this is her, ladies and gentlemen. It's the lovely. Give her a big round of applause. Bam, 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 bam. The crowd go wild. There are thousands. Big round of applause. Can we hear big claps?
Welcome.
Right. Look, they're all going mad for you. They
Fanfare,
loved you last time. No, okay, fanfare. We've had your fanfare. That's enough. Now calm down. Hello, Lisa. Hello, lovely Lisa. Do you know?
Hello, lovely Jonathan. Hello, lovely Sue. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, and that you are one of our, over these 23, 24 nights now, you were one of our favourite our guests, and we've had some really lovely guests, and they've been all people so appreciated, people coming in or being there on the phone. Lisa, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you, Jonathan, and thank you so much for inviting me back on again. And a big hello to all your lovely listeners. I felt so honoured to be part of your kind of, Jonathan, I know you hate the word, the Jonathan Veira community.
You understand.
But I do feel like I've been taken in by your lovely supporters and followers and just embraced by you all through these quite dark times, really, aren't they?
They really are.
So thank you for that.
I've just nearly choked on a glass of water, sorry. So, we've taken you in, Lisa, because, and I think this is one of the things you're one of the early guests who just spoke from the heart, and you spoke with passion and reality, and actually everything else for me paled into insignificance. And I loved what you've done. I love the way just literally can you pray, see, for those who weren't part of that wonderful evening, can you just do it in about a minute? Tell them what you did and then what you do now.
Okay. Well, when I came on last time, I shared with you really about how I came to start the Winnie Mabaso Foundation, which is a charity working in South Africa, predominantly supporting children, particularly those who are living with HIV, and the wider community, so a deeply underprivileged community living in townships in the south of Johannesburg. And at the time, it was kind of towards the start of the lockdown, really, and the community were really, really struggling. We usually run a feeding station once a week to feed the community, and we were unable to do that, so we put a plea out for people to help us buy grocery packs that would feed a family of 4 for a whole month, £20 for a grocery pack to feed a family of 4 for a month. And your community so got behind that. And I'm absolutely delighted to tell you that since I was last on the show, we've now been able to distribute almost 3,000 grocery packs.
Unbelievable. That is just
I know, it's astonishing. So a big thank you.
I mean, that makes such a difference to people to know. I think we've got pictures going up, haven't we, right now, of these things. And I know that when people can see they make a difference, literally on the ground, then it makes a lot of difference to the way that they give themselves. It's often, if they give an amorphous amount of money to an amorphous charity that they never see, and they see the director driving around in a Mercedes, then it's very difficult. And I mean that. I mean, that's why I think people got behind you, because they saw that what you were doing could make a big difference. And it does make a difference.
Well, what you have done has made a big difference. So,
well, I think actually,
thank you.
Well, it's
thank
community,
you to
isn't
everyone.
it? It's community. It's what community does. It reaches across the oceans, and it just says people need, and we can help.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Can I just say that I mean, that's brilliant news. I just wanted to I must just ask you about this, because you did talk about it. When we had this little moment with Premier Radio recently, You told Sue a story that made me laugh out loud. And look, I know I like this kind of thing, all right? I'm sorry, people, I like this kind of thing. And I asked you whether you were willing to tell the story. Now, just in Lisa, in a previous incarnation, she worked for the BBC for, 20 years, something like that. So she was a senior producer for BBC Radio 2. And so tell them in your own words what happened.
Okay. Well, it was a Sunday morning. I was producing Good Morning Sunday for Radio 2, and it's when Aled Jones was the presenter of the programme. Yeah. And it was o'clock in the morning, and I had decided to play James Blunt's You're Beautiful, really lovely song. And we played the song, and just as it started, right towards the start of the song, Aled leapt up from his seat and took his headphones off and said to me, "Lisa, he's just sung the F word." And I said to him, "Stop winding me up, Aled. It's too early in the morning to be playing games like that." And as I said it, I saw messages start appearing on Twitter and on Facebook. Oh, no. And what I hadn't realised is that there are two versions of You're Beautiful. There's the album version, and then there's the the airplay version. And of course, I had played the wrong version. So I was absolutely mortified that on a Sunday morning before 8 a.m, I think I'm the only person in history who's managed to broadcast the F word on a religious programme before 8 a.m. So, I think I've gone down in the history books for that one, Jonathan.
Did you go to the canteen later?
I was so upset that I'd managed to do that. After we came off air, Terry Wogan's show used to be on after hours, and I was literally in tears at the end of the show, and Aled was trying to console me, and Terry Wogan had heard it on the car on the way in. So as soon as he walked into the studio, he just took one look at my face and just said, well, worse things have happened. Gave me a big hug. Yes. And I think actually he really fought my corner because he could see that it was a genuine mistake, and I was absolutely mortified. So thank you, Sir Terry. You kept me in work.
What a nice man. Oh no, and I could feel. People all over the country and all over the world now listening to that story are going cold. Okay, we do. We do when we're doing live shows. When we were doing operas and things like that, there were so many things that went wrong live, and that when they did, I think there was a story that I think I told when I'm going to cut it short, but I was working at Glyndebourne doing Don Giovanni, the opera Don Giovanni, and I was singing my first aria, and really big aria, 6.5-minute aria, and I started Madamina, il catà, Madamina, il catalogo è questo, nelle belle che muore il padron mio, un catalogo è che fatti. And I'd walked on, and I thought, there's no conductor. Where's the conductor? Because you normally you see it in the screens. You don't look down at the pit. You see it in the television screens facing the stage, so that you keep the drama alive. And I thought, there's nothing on the TV screens. Never mind, just keep going. And so I kept going, and I kept going for about 4 minutes. I'm cutting a very long story short. And I suddenly looked down, and as I saw, he had been bending over. That's why he wasn't part of the camera. And he fell into the violas, okay? And they moved, they dodged, and carried on playing. And he collapsed into the pit. So I'm thinking, and I could see it, but nobody else could see it. So it's like, what do I do? So I carried on for another 2 minutes, and eventually I got to the second section of the aria, and I thought, he's going to die. We've got to get him out. We've got to get him out there. Because the orchestra kept on playing, the LPO, it's the... And so I thought, the poor man. So I walked forward in my 17th century costume. This was all you can see it. Actually, if you search on Google, you can see this. I walked forward and I said those inimitable words. I said, "Hello, everybody. My name's Jonathan Veira, and I wonder, is there a doctor in the house?" And it being Glyndebourne, they went, "Well, no, we've got accountants, but no doctors. We can't afford, And anyway, went back. They brought the steel curtain in, and the stage manager said to me later on, she said, "When you walked forward," she said, "I saw you on the camera. I thought, he's finally lost it." Those were her exact words. He's finally lost it. Went back to speak to the conductor, And the conductor's lying there, and he'd had some long-term illness that he hadn't spoken about. And he conductor, and he's lying on the sofa, just recovering. And he was French, and he said, so Jonathan, what happened? I said, well, you collapsed into the violas. And he said, well, they deserve this. And then he's saying this, and then he said, how long did you? And he was very soporific. He said, how long did you keep on going? And I said, for about 4 minutes. And he sprung upright and he said, without me? And then next thing, I had to then do the whole thing all over again. Things happen live, and that's what we like live. Anyway, now. But
the show must go on,
It
Jonathan.
must, and you're here with us now. And I'm going to get you to talk a little bit about, and this fantastic, I want some lovely stories if you've got any. Thank you, Lisa, for waiting. Did you sing? Did you hum along?
I was humming along, grooving here.
Well, actually, it is very funky. We've got a real 70s Motown beat to this, so it's really quite fun. Anyway,
yeah, it's lovely.
Lisa, enough of this frivolity. We want to talk to you about Mabaso. So, areas for chat, really. We've got the update on the grocery deliveries. You've got 3,000 plus going out. Are they continuing?
Yes, they are. And it's really important for them to continue as well, because lockdown's still in place. I mean, it has relaxed somewhat from last time I spoke to you, but unemployment is a massive problem. And people are hungry. That's the reality of it. If I could show you some of the messages I get on Facebook Messenger from people in the communities that are just saying, look, please help me. I went to bed last night. My children haven't eaten for 2 days. I've been awake all night worrying about them. Please, can you help me? I've had messages from people that need to take their medication, so diabetics who really need to be eating to take their insulin. So they've got their medication, but they haven't got any food to eat, so they're asking for help. People that have just had babies that don't have diapers for them or any formula, and I mean the list goes on. It's heartbreaking. It really is.
Actually, I think it's really important for people to get to grasp the fact that they cannot solve all of the problems. They can only change one person at a time, and
absolutely.
That's otherwise it becomes so. Don't you sometimes get overwhelmed with it, or do you not? You just seem to be, such a positive person, and you're going forward. And tell me.
No, there are times that I get overwhelmed, Jonathan. And I don't know if you remember, but I've got a tattoo on my wrist of a starfish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that story came from the story of the starfish, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Tell it to the listeners. We know it, but
a man was walking along a beach, and littered on the sand were hundreds and hundreds of starfish that the sea had brought in. And in the distance, he saw a little girl walking along the beach and picking up the starfish and throwing them back into the ocean. And he called out to her and he said, look, why are you bothering? Why are you throwing those starfish back into the ocean? You're not going to be able to save them all. There's hundreds of them. And as she bent down and threw another starfish back into the ocean, she called out to him, I've made a difference to that one. And I had the tattoo of the starfish put on my wrist one Friday evening when, pre-COVID, we used to be able to do our Friday night feeding station. And we'd literally fed hundreds of people. But as our van was leaving the camp where we worked, I looked in the side mirrors and I could see 2 children running after the bus, our truck, with 2 little empty bowls, and we had nothing to give them. And I got back to the orphanage and I absolutely broke my heart, because I could just picture these 2 kids going to bed hungry and, with these little bowls running after us. And that was the night that a friend shared with me the story of the starfish. And I've never forgotten that. No. So times when it does feel overwhelming, that's what I just remind myself. It is one at a time. It's one at a time.
Yes. And actually, that's the only... And I think, actually, with this community, we're not millions. We're just a few hundred, a few thousand people who are watching this across the world. There are people in so many different countries, and they can help. And I ask you, if you're in Canada or in America or in Bermuda, who we pray for at the moment because they've got a tropical storm. I believe that's coming. But if you're there and if you're thinking, can I make a difference? That these £20 packets, they do make a difference. And when I worked for charities, I went out to Addis Ababa and I saw what one packet of rice could do for a family, and it was transformative, and how that can do. So we've got the issues with food, which we can I think we can help you with that. People can give directly to that. Have we got all the giving, all the addresses are up. So because I would love, again, people gave in record amounts to this, and it was very moving to see.
And I think what really touched me, Jonathan, is that we're at a time where everybody is struggling. You know, people are losing their jobs.
Yes.
Here, not just in South Africa, but all around the world, people are being affected by this pandemic.
Yes.
And I think what has really moved me and touched me is that even when people have been struggling themselves, they've been putting their hands in their pockets to help others.
Yeah.
And that sense of, in South Africa, there's a lovely word, Ubuntu, which means humanity.
Yes.
And I think that's just been so evident in your community, the little Jonathan Veira community there. You know, that spirit of Ubuntu, that spirit of humanity has been extraordinary. So, just a massive thank you again.
I think if we can, to be honest, Lisa, if it's what I talked about just before we went, it's that if we can mine that amongst anything else that we do, kindness is that thing that Wordsworth says, and I always use it, that engage yourselves in little unremembered acts of kindness. Little £20 acts of kindness. But if everybody was doing little unremembered acts of kindness, then what we'd have is a tsunami of kindness, and that's what we're after, isn't it? It's a kindness from you to me, from you to others, and it goes round in a circle. And that's my heart. That's always been my heart. Talk to me about homeschooling and the orphanage lockdown. What's that? What's going on there?
Yes. So as I say, that things have relaxed slightly in South Africa in terms of the lockdown. The curfew is still in place at night time in our particular area, but in the daytime, people are slowly, getting out and about, and there's a degree of normality coming back. Obviously, with social distancing and measures in place. One thing I've been very conscious of, though, is that our girls at the orphanage do have weakened immune systems, and we need to keep them as safe as possible. So we have kept our lockdown in place at the orphanage, which means that the children haven't gone back to school yet. Okay. So our house mothers are still homeschooling. And we've got a closed door policy. So basically, the team that are outside are still the ones that are buying the groceries and coming to the gate with the medication. But we have an amazing live-in team who are caring for all 23 children and homeschooling them. And the girls are doing really well, actually. I'm incredibly proud of them,
so
especially
they're
the little ones.
Educationally, they're doing well.
They're doing well, and I think they're really benefiting from that kind of one-to-one care that they wouldn't usually get at school. That said, I'm hoping that by the beginning of October, we'll be able to start allowing them to go back to school again, but with measures in place.
And what about the staff? What about the staffing? How are they doing?
Yeah, and the staff are just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we're just so blessed to have them. These are people that have put their own lives on hold to protect our children. Yeah. And I think that has really, touched me that, these aren't people that just work for the Winnie Mabaso Foundation. These are people that really reflect Mabaso love and genuinely care for our children. Yes. And so have put their own lives on hold, for this period. So they've been amazing. Down at the camp, things have relaxed a little bit. So our preschool, which usually accommodates 30 underprivileged children, we've been allowed to allow 10 children back. So the 10 children that we selected to come back again are children that are going to be leaving us in December anyway to go up to primary school. So we thought it was important to prepare them as much as possible for starting school, in just a few months' time. Yes. So they came back last Monday, all 10 of them. So they were very, very giddy and very excited to come back. But even the little ones in South Africa have to wear masks. I know there's been a big,
Really? Oh, gosh.
thing about, should children wear masks at school or whatever. But in South Africa, children wear masks, full stop. So our preschoolers, who are all under 5 years of age, coming, they've understood social distancing. They've got their little masks on. And they're delighted to be back. But the preschool teachers have said to me, just that 6 months that they were away, bearing in mind these are the children that live in the township, not the children that live at the orphanage, because they haven't been getting an education without us being around. They've forgotten simple things like how to write their names down. They've forgotten number identification and colour identification. So all those things that they were doing really well with 6 months ago, they had forgotten a lot of that. So the preschool teachers have been focusing on that for the last week and doing their best to get them up to speed so that when they move up to primary school in December,
there isn't a big gap.
They'll be prepared for it. Yeah.
I think there is. Well, there's evidence to say that's happened in this country as well. Huge amounts of evidence to say that, particularly amongst the poorer working class kids, that actually didn't get those who were in private schools got taught well, and there's certain areas in the country who didn't. They just didn't get as much, and the teachers did as much as they could, but actually the kids will suffer. But there you've got so many other factors apart from just education. You've got everything else, the township and everything else. You're opening up. What about the restart of? You talked about Friday night feeding stations.
Yeah, so we're hoping that within the next couple of weeks we're going to be able to start doing our Friday night feeding station again. So pre-COVID, we were feeding upwards of 850 people every Friday night. So usually what we do, and it was important for me to be able to do this because for all of our projects, the community come to us. Yes. On a Friday night, we used to enjoy going out into the community and serving the people with a hot meal. Yeah. But we're going to have to do it slightly different, I think, just in terms of social distancing. So we're probably going to serve those, we are going to be serving those meals on our plot where our containers are. So that we can put down, we'll probably do it with spray paint on the floor so we can ensure people keep a 2 metre distance away from each other, and our staff will be masked up and wear their aprons and things. What we have been able to start doing in the last couple of weeks is on a Wednesday, we've been cooking a hot lunch for our lovely granny club. We have 25 ladies and one papa who come to us usually every Wednesday. We haven't been able to open Granny Club yet, because obviously all of our projects are based in these containers, so containers aren't really conducive to social distancing. No. But we have been able to take hot meals to our grannies every Wednesday. So that's been lovely to be able to make sure that they're being looked after.
Can I ask you, I mean, just a good news story, any individual that comes to mind that, I mean, I'm putting you on the spot here, I didn't ask you this. But any good news thing that came through that you thought, in spite of all of this that's been going on, has happened during this time?
Oh gosh, so many, Jonathan.
Well, just give me one. I don't mind.
I think probably the one that comes to mind when you say that is we have an exceptionally clever little boy called Jeremy who attends our homework club usually. And he's a little boy that comes from a very underprivileged background, but academically he is so switched on and he has so much potential. And we were able to provide Jeremy with a tablet and remote Wi-Fi so that he was able to continue his schooling at home. And he's been sending me little essays and little bits of work that he's been doing completely off his own back while he's been at home or unable to go to school.
Don't you love children like that?
And he's 13. He's 13. I keep telling you he's going to be president of South Africa one day.
Yes, that's what you're. I was just thinking that. I was thinking, is that presidential material?
Seriously, I mean, he's so articulate but he's got such a gracious spirit about him too. He's a little boy, but he has this kind of maturity and sensitivity, and He's just a phenomenal little boy. So to have been able to help him,
Yes.
through and that was a group of people. And as you say, it's small amounts. When lots of people get together and give small amounts, you're able to do things like this. So, and this was, from a post on Facebook. I said, I'd love to be able to do this from Germany for Jeremy. And within, I think it was less than an hour, we'd raised the money that was needed for that tablet and Wi-Fi, and plus more than that.
Yeah.
So we were then able to take him groceries to share with his family as well. So
I think this is where we are at. I think is this. Remember what I said earlier, which is we don't need people to give huge amounts. We just need a lot of people to give little amounts, and actually that makes. And at that point it means it's like a big puzzle, and they are part, and all the puzzle all fits together. A 1,000-piece puzzle, and everybody plays their part. And without them, you couldn't do it, but actually they all make a difference. And making this difference, you make a difference in what you're doing, Lisa, and you're making a difference in people's lives, and we love you for that. And you're doing it on our behalf. We're not doing it, you're doing it, and we're helping you to do it. We're helping you to function. I saw you'd raised some incredible amount, £155,000 or something.
I know,
right?
that's for Tropic Skincare. Tropic Skincare are an amazing organisation, and they did a fundraiser for us, and they've raised money for us to be able to go totally off grid and be solar powered at the orphanage, which is just incredible. So
well, I mean,
the
it's that
kindness
kind of thing.
of strangers.
No, but it is the kindness of strangers. It's those little unremembered acts of kindness. Can you just say finally? What would you like people to give? What can they do? What can you put a monetary value on? What, £20 or whatever they can do for a particular thing?
If people want to continue helping us financially, then those £20 donations to buy grocery packs to feed a family of 4 for a month would be greatly, greatly appreciated. But also just all those lovely friend requests that I've had from people that are your supporters, Jonathan, that, as I say, have just welcomed me into your community. And the messages that people have sent me, they can sense, I think, if I'm having a tough day. And these, and as you know, I'm not a churchgoer myself, but
we're working on you, Lisa. We're working on you, okay?
But the little messages that I get from your community, from people that are saying, "Well, we're praying for you," or "We're thinking about you today," or just really lovely messages of encouragement, and they have meant every bit as much as the monetary donations. So thank you so much, all of you, that are listening.
Lisa, you are a friend to this programme, and that you will continue to be, and we will be, well, we'll always have you on because you're just such great value for money. And I want a few more failure stories from you and the BBC, please. All right? Okay, I don't want all this success stuff, only a little bit of failure. All right, Lisa, you're blessed. And I know could everybody just send up hearts and love to you, and we bless you and send you off with big kisses and hugs in Glossop. All right.
Well, love you both, Sue and Jonathan. Thank you.
Love you, Lisa.
God bless.
Speak to you soon. Bye bye.